Thanks for joining us. Okay, so today we're going to talk about prayer and intention because, you always hear that you have to intend something to be and then it comes into being, right? So you manifest things. But, not everybody explains these things out to you and the difference between prayer and intention and what should you use for manifestation and what's important to remember. So, when you intend, you ask. When you pray, you ask. When you wish, you ask. Okay, so all of these things are asking. And the formula is ask, believe, receive. Now, this is whether you want, something material or if you want a relationship or whatever you want. You ask, believe, receive. When you ask, believing in what you ask, you will receive. Okay, so take a look at prayer, for example. Okay, now prayer is communication from separation. This is the difference. Because when you pray, okay, you're acknowledging that there is something separate from you. Okay, there is something separate. So this is communication from separation. Okay, esoterically, prayer originates from the egoic or personal self, okay, your conscious mind, the left brain. We always talk about left brain, right brain. And it's a gap between that and source or God or superconscious or however you believe. Okay, it's often a request or a petition, right? And what you're doing is you're asking, right, the creator of all to work on your behalf. Okay, for you, for your benefit. Good morning, Jay. So, these things are directed outward. Prayer is directed outward. Okay, intention happens within. Okay, so is prayer wrong? No, it's not wrong at all. Mm-mm. No, prayer is good. But prayer is separation. Okay, intention is unified because it's inside. Okay, when you pray, what you're saying, what you're implying is that there's a separation here. God is separate from you. And God is not separate from you. God is in here. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about prayer and how it works. So God doesn't hear your words. People think that God hears words. People think that they can speak to God. Okay, now vibration is a thing. Words carry vibration. Words carry meaning. But God listens to feelings. God feels you. Why? Because God is a field. God is vibration. You are vibration. Okay, everything in the universe is energy. This is why when you feel good, you get good stuff. When you feel bad, you get bad stuff. Okay. So, when you have people, when you observe people that take life really seriously, okay? I know people like that. They make solid gains and then they incur huge losses. Okay? But I'm here to tell you that if you approach it a little differently, if you approach life a little bit more carefree, then when you make a mistake, because we all do, I make mistakes all the time. I try to fail at least once a week with something, because failure is a part of success. So failure is necessary. If you're not failing, something's wrong. Okay. But as you go about this process, if you go lightly, when you make a mistake, your correction is light. Okay? If you're pulling things your way, my way, like that, and you make a mistake, then you get a bigger reaction. Okay? A stronger negative reaction. Okay? So on the consciousness level, prayer operates primarily from the conscious mind. Okay? It's often charged with desire. Okay? So it does put out emotion. So desire, fear, or lack. Now, we normally go into the prayer, right? Into the prayer with something that we want. And it's usually something that's going wrong. It's usually something that's lacking. It's usually something that's not happening. And when we do this, what we're telling the subconscious, our subconscious, is there's not enough. There's lack. Things are bad, so now I'm praying. It implies that you don't have this yet. I'm praying for this because I need this or I want this. I don't have it yet. Therefore, there's lack. This is why a lot of people don't get what they pray for. The other primary reason, the bigger reason, is because it's not in their subconscious as a belief first. So that means if you install it in your subconscious first as a belief, whether the belief is, I already have the new car, or the belief is, I deserve this, or I'm good enough, or, like that, then you pray for whatever it is that you're aiming for. Then the superconscious will act upon the subconscious. It can't do it any other way. So if you have doubts in your subconscious, if you're doubting yourself in your subconscious, God looks at that and goes, that's what I have to work with. We'll magnify that. So how do you fix this? Well, let's go over a little bit more, okay? We're going to show you how to fix this. This is not rocket science. It's very simple. But you have to come from the standpoint that God is not a human being. God is not a man. God is not that white man with a beard on the Sistine Chapel. That's not God. That's not who God is. God is an energy. God is a field. Energetically, when you pray, it sends a signal away from yourself, a vibration away from yourself. But it also sends a signal that whatever it is, whatever God is, whatever you think God is, exists outside of yourself. And what did Jesus tell us? Jesus said, the kingdom is within. God lives in here. Okay? Even sincere prayer can subtly affirm separation, right? Because there's a difference. There's God is not in here because I'm praying to God. I'm speaking to God. Can you speak to God without praying? Sure. Just talk. Just speak. Because your voice goes into your subconscious. Separation is rooted in asking rather than alignment. Okay? So esoterically, prayer says something greater than me has to help me, has to act on my behalf. Okay, so prayer is not wrong. Okay, don't get me wrong. Prayer is not wrong. Okay, it's simply developmental. Okay, it's like the first stage of awakening. It's the first stage. At least you are acknowledging that there's something bigger than you. Okay, now let's take a look at intention. Okay, so intention. What is intention? How does that work? So intention is directional consciousness. What does that mean? That means you intend something. There's so many Bible verses in the Holy Bible that talk about intention, but they don't call it intention. They say God knows your heart. As a man thinketh, so is he in his heart. So is he in his intentions. So intention is not asking, it's aiming, it's directing. It's saying, okay, we're going here. Okay? So this is the manifestation thing. Ask, believe, receive. So first you make your affirmation. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm confident. Thank you. Where are we going? We're going to confidence. So intention is directional. Okay, it is aiming. It arises when the individual recognizes their role as a co-creator. Okay? You're a partner with God. You're a co-creator with God. This is why you have that power. This is why Jesus said the kingdom is within. Now, there's so many things that happen in religions that separate, that infer separation. And the reason why they do this is there's no, there's no diabolical thing behind that. It's not the devil behind that. There's no conspiracy behind that. The reason why is because intention and the Bible, the original text in the Bible, okay, the Bible's been changed. But when the Council of Nicaea happened, way back, okay, in the 3rd century, they had to take liberation, which is what the Bible was, which is what Jesus' teachings were. Liberation, and they had to squeeze it like this and go, okay, religion, here you go. Because now there was an organization. Now there was the church. Now we have to get all these guys, okay, people in general, we have to get humanity in line. We have to have conformity. They have to conform to this. Okay? It's not a conspiracy. Why do they have to do that? Because it's an organization. Because there's a methodology. Because there's dogma. So the dogma has to take everyone from here and go here. Because if you know the esoteric meanings of the Bible, if you know the true meanings, okay, then what happens is you have freedom. So an individual becomes liberated. Because I tell you that the prison is here. Then you see the truth. Then you know the truth. The truth sets you free. Okay, you can't free everyone from an organization. You'll have no organization. It's counterproductive. So in the organization, in a church, in a synagogue, in a temple, you have to take the masses and you have to go, okay, this is what we're doing right here. And now you have rules, and now you have laws, and now you have policies, and now you have procedures. Okay? And now it's up to the individual to go get free, to free themselves. Very seldom do you have a collective body all being free at the same time. That doesn't happen. It happens slowly within the congregation. There's a few that start to see. And when they start to see, they start to clue in the others. Hey, like this. And pretty soon it starts to spread. But they don't all wake up. Why? Well, because of this. Because they have to conform. So even if they're awake, even if during a sermon they get an idea and they start to awaken, right? When the sermon's over, guess what happens? They go back into a program, right? Or they have music, or they have whatever it is, or you finish the service and you go back into the calendar, into the clock. Then what happens? Then you're back into the physical versus spiritual. Then you're back into the clock. You're back into the calendar. You're back into the hypnosis. You're back into the systems of things that Jesus talked about. Okay, the systems of things. What systems? The banking system, the medical industrial complex, the military industrial complex. It goes on. There's so many systems. Okay, the systems are not inherently evil. The systems are not supposed to be evil. If you think the systems are evil, then you're suffering from victim mentality. It's not wrong to have money. It's wrong to love money. Why is it wrong to love money? You know, people say all the time, oh, I love money, right? You can say you love money. Maybe you really mean you enjoy money, okay? But when you put your faith in money, when you put your trust in money, when you trust money more than you trust what's in here, you're not your body, you're not your name, you're that energy that lives in here. You trust money more than that? In other words, do you put more faith in your job, in the bank, in the credit card, in the financial system than you do in God, going, okay, God's got me. I'm good. Money will come. Things will happen. Blessings will come. Which one? So when your eyes go onto the system, because your eyes look away from the kingdom. When your eyes are on the system, okay. Then it's tax time. Then it's income time. Then it's work time. Then it's break time. Then it's the schedule, the calendar, the system. Pretty soon, your belief is in the system. Pretty soon, you worship the system. Because you take the belief in here, the belief in yourself, the belief in God, the real belief in God, and you put it in the system. Why? Well, because the system is serving you. And so you serve the system. And so you walk around with this veil. And once in a while, the veil lifts and you see the truth. And then it's back to the calendar. It's back to the clock. Because you know the truth in here. You know the truth. You were born with the truth. You were born with love energy. You were born with God's energy. And God is love. I'm not talking about Valentine's Day. I'm talking about love. I'm talking about the absence of anxiety, the absence of worry, the absence of irritation, the absence of anger, the absence of frustration. And all of these things are picked up by the world. You don't see angry babies. They don't come into the world angry. They come into the world happy. They're joyful, right? They're happy. And then they get older and life happens. And we react to things. And then there's trauma. There's this there's these emotional events that stick out because either they shocked us or they hurt us or they injured us or okay, like that. So prayer illustrates separation. You're praying to something else, someone else. Thank you, Rosanna. Intention is directional consciousness. You're saying, I'm going there. I want that. That's my goal. Now you have an intention. I'm a co-creator. Now you have an intention. Okay, the Bible talks about this as well. But it talks about it as heart. God knows your heart, right? God knows your heart. God knows your intentions. Sometimes you make a mistake. Oh, I didn't mean to make her cry. I didn't mean it like that, right? You didn't mean it. The key word is mean. I didn't mean it like that. Oh, she took it the wrong way. Or she took it another way. But I didn't mean it in a bad way. So that's your intentions. That's your heart. It's important to have a good heart. It's important to walk with a good heart, to carry a good heart. Do people with a good heart do bad things? Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, that happens. Okay? So intention is aiming for something. Okay? Intention is part of the ask, believe, receive process. But this is your subconscious. It's not magic. It's not witchcraft. It's not all of that. On the conscious level, intention bridges the conscious and subconscious. How does it do that? Well, the conscious selects the target, right? Maybe you're online and maybe you see girls, ladies, maybe you see a handbag. Maybe it's a Louis Vuitton handbag, and you go, "Wow, that handbag, that's the one I want." Now, with repetition, let's say you do affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. In repetition, this goes into your subconscious as a belief. I believe I want that bag. I'm all about that bag. Okay? Now what? Well, the subconscious starts to create pathways towards it. Oh, maybe you should get a side hustle. Oh, maybe you should save money. Maybe I should ask my husband. Maybe I should ask my boyfriend. Whatever. Okay? Like that. Now you have a bridge between the conscious and subconscious. It's the intention. A lot of times things show up in your life and you're not aware. Why aren't you aware? Because your subconscious is running your life. 95% of your life is automatic. Automatic. Get up, do this, do that. Do it. You don't even think about it. You don't have to learn to brush your teeth every day. It's in your subconscious. You don't have to learn to drive the car every day. It's in your subconscious. The way you interact with your parents, subconscious. The way you interact with your loved ones, okay, let's say your significant other, subconscious. And you develop a pattern, a paradigm. A paradigm is how you look at something based upon what you believe about it. So what do you believe about your husband? Okay, that's the way you're going to act with him. But you're not going to act that way with your brother. Why? Well, because I believe other things about him. And I have a paradigm for him. Okay? That's not the way you're going to behave with your mother. Why? Well, because these are the things I believe about her. And I have a way that I see her in my paradigm, right? So we have multiple paradigms as human beings. It's not just one paradigm you need to change or what, I know these thought leaders do this, but there's a reason why they do this. Okay, I'm not here to sell you a package. I'm not here to, whatever. We actually created a special that we're going to tell you about over here with, Jay's going to put it up. But other than that, I'm not here to push sales. I'm here to push education. I'm here to push awareness so that you're aware. Because people don't know why they're afraid. They don't know why they're getting this bad luck. It's because your subconscious is going around and around in circles, repeating fear. Fear-based ideas. Worry, anxiety, depression, okay? Boredom. Are you always bored? Your subconscious learns boredom. Then what? It repeats it. Despair, grief, guilt, shame. When's the last time you were shamed? Or when's the last time you remembered? The key word is remember. Remembered something you did in the past and you go, oh yeah, I'm kind of ashamed about that. I'm not too happy about that, right? And these thoughts start coming back. Why? Because it's on repeat through your subconscious. I pull people out of this with their voice because your voice pulls it out of you. It separates you from the societal hypnosis. What's the societal hypnosis? The conditioning that you're in, the conditioning that you've received. You're not really aware of it till you get pulled out of it. When you get pulled out of it, you go, whoa, yeah, I believed that for years. I thought that for years. And then you get pulled out of it, you go, whoa, right? The nice thing that happened during the pandemic was that more people woke up. Why? Because they had time. They had time to go online and look at things. Before that, it was following the clock, following the calendar. Okay, I call it the mouse wheel. It's like this. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, you're doing your job, right? Okay, come home, fix dinner for the kids. Then you have a couple of hours that you can kick back and do quality time at home with the kids, with the family, right? And you do this 5 days a week. On Saturday, it's soccer with the kids. On Sunday, it's church with the family. And then family day, recreation, picnic, what have you. And then Monday, it's back on the mouse wheel. And you live this way from day to day to day to day to day to day to dead. One day you run out of time. And you've lived this way constantly every day. That's the mouse wheel. That's the merry-go-round. You stay at one job, you whatever, do it for how many years, X number of years, then you retire, then you go on a couple of cruises, then you get sick and it's time to die. Hopefully you don't get sick. Hopefully, you just get old, and then it's time to go. This is your blessing. This is what God has given you. The question is, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to use this blessing? And how are you going to contribute back to the world that contains all these blessings, all these people, 8 billion of us? Sure, not all of them are blessings. Not all of them are good. There's good energy and there's bad energy. There's love energy and there's people operating without love or not in love energy. Okay, well, we're not talking about dating, but yeah, I feel you talk King. You're in Cameroon. I'm in Hawaii. Aloha to everybody in Cameroon. So intention clarifies what state is being chosen, what state from your conscious mind. Okay, it programs the subconscious through focus and meaning. This is why applied focus is necessary to bring whatever it is into your world. Everything is created. Everything you want is created. It's somewhere. Your job is to bring it to you. Ask, believe, receive. So you go through all these coincidences, right? Oh, I was thinking about this thing, and I was thinking about this product, and then I started talking to my coworker about this product, and then I went to the restaurant, and I saw this guy with this product, and I asked him, "Where do you get this product?" And he said, "Oh, I have an extra one," and he gave me one. There you go. Coincidence or superconscious? Superconscious is God. We are all connected. We are all one awareness, one consciousness. So when you ask and believe in your asking, you receive. You may not receive it the way you think. You may not receive it the way you want. But you will receive it if you apply the focus. And this is what's happening in this modern day and age with these things. Okay, people are losing focus. People are not used to mental focus. Okay, there's a difference between mindless scrolling and applied focus. But when you apply your focus towards something, whatever it is, it could be love, it could be a career, it could be a product, it could be whatever it is. And you have to trust in the belief. Because whether you believe in God or if you don't believe in God, either way, you're a believer, you're a human. You operate on beliefs. You have a set of beliefs. Let's look at the subconscious tree, okay? Oh, aloha from Riverside, California. Yeah, blessings to you too. Thank you for joining us today. Subconscious tree, okay? The roots of the tree are your beliefs, what you believe to be true. Okay, your first fundamental paradigm is from 0 to 7 years old. Most people do not change their entire paradigm, their entire initial paradigm. What happened to you between the ages of born to 7? Okay, what happened to you? You can ask your subconscious, and your subconscious will pull that information, that data, from your hard drive. Your subconscious is your hard drive. Your operating system is your conscious mind. The network is what we're all plugged into, the superconscious. So what happens with the subconscious? Well, you can ask it, and it is obligated to answer you. This is why when you have a thought, right? Like, oh, what did I do with my keys? And you can't find it, and you, oh, okay, whatever, and you give up, and you go do something else, and you're out in your yard doing something or whatever, and then you go, oh, my dresser, and you walk back and out, there it is. Okay? Your subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses. So whatever happened to you between birth and 7 years old gives you your first set of understandings, your first worldview, the way you see the world, which dictates your attitude in the world or forms your attitude in the world, of the world. Okay, that's the trunk of the tree. The roots are your beliefs. The trunk of the tree is your paradigm that you need to change according to what you want. For productivity, for whatever, better family, for whatever it is. Then there's the fruits, right? You will know them by their fruits. Your actions. And those actions get results. Those actions will, some people say give you consequences, but we have a negative connotation to that. Falling in love is all with life, and you're living. Jesus was in love with all, great master. Yes. Oh, you were asking the same question, Sarah. Okay. So whatever it is your fruits are, in other words, whatever you do, whatever actions you do, you're going to get a reaction. Every action has a reaction. This morning on my Facebook stories, I was talking about giving and generosity. And for some reason, I don't know, I've always been like that since I was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. I used to give away all my toys. I still give away my toys. I give away a lot of guitars and a lot of adult stuff, that kind of thing, right? Toys, expensive toys. But, and I'm not flexing that, I'm just saying that was my habit of thinking, like just giving people, oh, you don't have? Okay, here, I have plenty, you take, whatever, that kind of thing. But when you form that feedback loop, okay, the giving feedback loop, in Hawaii, we have a lot of giving people. They give to charities. They give a lot to charities, people in Hawaii, because we were taught when we were young, the old timers at least, I don't know about the kids. I think I see a lot of kids giving, but the old timers it was a practice. And it was a practice because we had to take care of each other, because not everybody was rich. Not everybody had tons of money, right? So the fishermen gave to the hunters. The hunters shared with the fishermen, and together everybody ate. Fishermen had fish, right? So they share with the hunters. Hunters share with them, give them meat. And then pretty soon, everybody had a little bit of everything. Everybody helped everybody. Everybody got along. But when you create that feedback loop, something interesting happens. I did it by accident. It was just part of my nature. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe it was genetic. I don't know. But when you create that feedback loop, all you got to do is keep giving, and you're going to keep getting. Now, again, I'm going to bring this up. There's the physical belief, the physical world, okay, and the spiritual. So here's 2 trains of thought on the feedback loop of generosity. You can say, oh, I'm just going to give. I'm going to give freely, and I know it's going to return because God is real. That's the spiritual side. Okay, this in here, okay, where God lives. God lives in here. Okay, you're a spirit in here. There's a separation between the two, between the body and the spirit. Or you look at it the other way. Oh, I'm going to give because then I'm going to create this loop, and you believe in the physical world, And a lot of people in the physical world hesitate to give. People that believe in the physical world, they hesitate to give. Why is that? Well, because they don't believe that if you give, you get. They don't see the connection between this, your spirit in here, and everyone else. Even if they think God is separate from them, okay, because that's what you do when you pray, right? It's separation. Even if you believe that, at least you believe in something bigger than yourself that's going to ensure this feedback loop. And then you create it, and all you do is maintenance on it. Okay, maintenance. Yeah, you did say that, Sarah. Sarah's my client. Sarah, right here. Yep. So I might as well mention that because I talked to Sarah about that. You have to be a good receiver, okay? And I'll tell you why. Not just a good giver. You have to be a good receiver. Receiving well prompts giving, okay? You can't just be a good giver. I'll tell you why. You know those people that have money hang-ups? People that have money hang-ups can't be good givers. They need to practice. They need to learn. You give somebody money, you go, oh, no. What's that for? Now you're pushing back against the giver. Okay? And I told Sarah about this. When someone gives you something, don't insult the giver. Okay? Like, no, why? Oh, no, you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have, right? Now you're making the giver feel bad for giving. Instead, oh, wow, thank you. Now, when you do that, the giver feels good. Why? Well, they did something good. You're praising them. You're thanking them. You're endorsing them for giving to you. Now you're rewarding the giver. When you reward the giver, okay, not only are you rewarding them in that instance for giving to you, but you're inspiring them to give more. Not just to you, when they see somebody else, when they run into somebody else. The next time they think of giving, they probably won't hesitate. They're not always going to get lucky and get rewarded, right? Because there are a lot of people out there that have money hang-ups. And people that have money hang-ups resist money. That's why they have hang-ups. That's why they lack money. That's why money slows down for them. So if you have money hang-ups, gratitude. Just practice gratitude. Okay? Somebody gives you something. Oh, wow, thank you. That's all that's necessary. That's it. Okay, maybe a smile, maybe a little excitement. Feel the excitement. Feel the excitement of the gift. That will reward the giver. Then what happens? Well, the giver wants to do it again. Why? Because they want to get that reaction again. Okay, it might not be you, but they'll do it again. Now you've prompted the giver into more giving. Now you create that feedback loop. Okay? So there's feedback loops of positivity. There's feedback loops of generosity. Can you share or explain the process of maintenance? An example too. So maintenance, whatever positive action, let's say for example, you want to manifest something, user. Okay? Let's say you write affirmations. Let's say you achieve something that you want. Now that you achieve something, you don't just let your mind go. Okay? You provide maintenance. So maintenance is affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Okay, so this is maintenance right here. This is the one. Here it is, 1/14/2025. I did this one yesterday. Oh, 2026. Sorry, I misread that. And this is the old one. Okay, so these are affirmations. This is not journaling. These are directions. These are directives. They're intentions. And these intentions are for the subconscious. And when you train your subconscious, you only have to do it for a little while and then it begins to repeat. But first, you have to get pulled out of the hypnosis, okay? Because the belief systems that operate around you, okay? I'm talking about the religion, I'm talking about science, I'm talking about the financial system, I'm talking about the stock market, I'm talking about politics, I'm talking about everything. All of these systems. Jesus said, I will be with you until the end of the world. That's not what the original text says. The original text says, it translates out to, I will be with you until the end of these systems of things. What end? Is the system going to end? No. They were waiting for Jesus to come back in 1972. Okay. And then again in the 80s, Jesus was coming back. He was coming back again in the 90s. Okay. An entire generation and a half is gone already. Okay. And before that, okay, I'm sure there were others. But that's not how to interpret those things. You need to understand the esoteric meanings, the inner knowledge, not the outer knowledge that they feed the masses. Thank you, Rock Painting Mama. Good morning. Nice to see you. Thank you, thank you. You're very welcome. You're very welcome, user. So maintenance is important, okay? So if you're practicing to give, right? Go give your loose change to kids, give whatever it is. You go to Starbucks, do a random thing. I do this every once in a while when I'm in Starbucks because I go so early, there's no people. But when I go in, there's a line, right? Every once in a while, I'll take my credit card, my bank card or whatever, and usually my Starbucks card, and I'll just swipe it in front of somebody and pay for their drink. That's not a lot of money, but it comes back to you. Okay, but you need to get in the habit of it so that the maintenance part is that you consistently do it. Then you create the feedback loop. Now, if you don't believe in God, okay, because I know people that go to church that don't believe in God, because they don't put their faith in God, because they don't have faith in themselves, because they have low self-esteem, but they go to church, they raise their hand, they know all the verses, they memorize all the verses, the scripture, they know it, front and back. Okay? They don't know the esoteric meaning, but they know the verses. Okay? And that's like, okay, we're going to participate, we're going to get into church, right? Into church. But they don't believe in themselves. Jesus said the kingdom is within. If you're not acknowledging the kingdom within, if you're not acknowledging that you're not your body, you're not your name, you're that energy that lives in here, that spirit that lives in here, you're missing the whole point of life. Then your focus is this physical world and these systems of things. And then your focus is, I need to look to these guys, this thing. I need to look to the government to give me food stamps or whatever, or give me whatever, tax breaks. I need to look to the job to give me a paycheck so I can eat. You know, I go down to this beach park all the time to exercise and to see some people there that, you know, I've gotten to know over the years. And there's these two old ladies. Okay, I'm going to tell the cat story again, you guys. There's these two old ladies, and they bring canned food, okay? They buy the food for the stray cats. And there's 20, 25 cats, a lot of cats. And they're all fat, they're all spoiled. Okay, spoiled cats. They eat better than some cats at home that are eating dry food in people's houses, okay? But they live at the park. And these old ladies feed the cats every day. Just know that everything comes from God to us, or the cats, through others. This is how God works miracles. Because God lives in here. God lives in those two old ladies. And somewhere along the line, there was a decision, and the decision was, we're going to feed cats. That's our mission. That's our dharma. In India, they call it dharma. That's going to be our dharma. We're going to support the cats. And now the cats eat. So even the cats eat. Okay, even street people eat. I was on the street. I was sleeping on a sidewalk in 1980 for a few months. I wasn't mad at God. I wasn't mad at anybody. I was having fun. I was on an adventure, okay? But you know what? There was always something. Someone always fed us. Okay, we weren't on drugs. I wasn't on drugs. But now, right? These people are on drugs. That's what's really hampering the homeless situation. It's the drugs, the narcotics. But even the cats eat. I see people feeding street people. Yesterday I saw a Instagram reel of this guy and this lady, these two viewers of this account that went out and bought this huge sack of dog food, and they were using Ziploc bags, and they were putting portions, just filling bags full with dog food, and they were giving it to people for their dogs. Homeless people, people that couldn't afford, that kind of thing. That's God working through those people. Okay? So if you think that, oh, I need to depend on the housing system, I need to depend on the government, I need to depend. Over here in the physical world, you got it backwards. It happens here first. So you believe here, you ask here, you believe here, you receive in here first. Then it shows up. I can't even tell you how many times I do that. Jay knows. I talk to her all the time. Thank you. She sees me do it. I declare it, I write it down, and the maintenance is to keep writing, okay? And it begins to happen. And Sarah can tell you, before Sarah was pulled out, she couldn't tell. Because the physical world and the systems in the physical world, these systems of things that exist, there's tons of them, have hypnotized you. Commercials, products, and then you feel you need these things. Oh, well, I need that. Oh, I need that. Yeah, I can't. And then pretty soon you can't go without it. It's very difficult for us to go without this now, right? Why? Because we depend on it, because our focus has been placed on it, because it's convenient, because. There's tons of reasons. And it's fun. And you can communicate. And people across the world can communicate. Right now it's saving the country of Iran. Because they can't get away with things anymore. People cannot hide things anymore. Everything comes out in the open. That's God working, okay, through others. So, intention and prayer, and the difference between the two. Esoterically, intention says, I choose this state, and I align my inner world with this. And that's what ask, believe, receive is. You're going to ask, and you're going to say, I choose this, right? You're going to choose it with the conscious mind. In repetition, it goes into the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind goes, okay, I got it. We're going to do that. Then it creates pathways. Then the superconscious or God looks at the subconscious and goes, oh, that's what you believe? Okay, it will be done unto you. That's how it works. Okay, well, I'm not going to speak on political things, but okay. Thank you, Rivi. So Sarah said, it's taken me 50 years, but now I see, and I'm so very grateful to now live my best life. Yes, Sarah, you're living your best life. And I've only been working with Sarah for a while, a short while. But like I said, your voice will pull you out of the hypnosis. And what it does is it clears all the overthinking. It gets rid of the anxiety. It gets rid of all of those things, worry, all of that. And pretty soon, you start to settle inside. And when I say pretty soon, like third session, you start to settle inside. And what happens when you settle inside? Well, you're left with only you. You're left with only that love energy that you were born with. Remember when you were a baby, you were so happy, right? No responsibility. Not you didn't even have to feed yourself. You just lie there. Everybody cater to you, right? You're the baby. Okay? And then life happens. Life isn't evil unless you make it so, unless you attract it. You woke up 15 years ago. Okay, yeah, we're not going to get political. Don't keep that up because you'll get muted. We have a very good moderator. Okay, so now let's take a look at faith. Okay, faith in the esoteric world or the hidden world. So there's exoteric is what everybody else sees, right? That's what you feed the masses, the exoteric knowledge. Esoteric knowledge is hidden meanings inside. Okay? Faith is embodied knowing. That's what faith is. Faith is knowing, not believing. There's a difference. Whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, either way you're a believer, but do you have faith? And this is what I was talking about. The people that I know that go to church every Sunday, they're very religious about it. They're very religious about their religion, but they have no belief in themselves. They know all the verses. They do, in other words, they do all the extenuating things, all the exterior stuff, all the window dressing. Okay? It's like decorating your house up for Christmas and forgetting the real meaning of the holiday or the new meaning of the holiday. It was a very old pagan holiday, but yeah, that's esoteric, you see? You see? But faith is not belief. Belief is still doubt. Why? Because, well, if you didn't doubt, you wouldn't have to believe. Okay? When you have faith, you know the difference between talking to God and listening to God. Let's say it another way, the difference between prayer and meditation. When you pray, you're speaking to God. You're asking God. Okay? And that's the separation. Because now you're inferring that there's two things here. There's you, and then there's God. That is separation. Intention is inside. Meditation is inside. When you're meditating, you're listening, you're paying attention. And guess what? That intuitive voice gets stronger. Now you can hear it well. Now you can hear it good and clear. The feeling, it's a feeling, but you hear it in your voice and you get the thought. Now, when you follow those thoughts, your life gets easier. When you follow those thoughts, life begins to flow, right? Life begins to flow. And you can even ask, when you get the intuitive thought, just ask, should I follow this? Ask the question. Your subconscious will give you the answer. So when you ask, okay, and you believe in what it is you're asking, you will receive. The reason why you place focus on it, the reason why you focus on it is to strengthen the subconscious connection. Because manifestation is subconscious. It's not magic. It's not witchcraft. You know, if you want to do a little dance, you want to throw some salt over your shoulder, you want to do all those ritual things, okay, go ahead, do it. If that makes you feel better. But it's your subconscious. So what does this do on the consciousness level? What does faith do? Because faith occurs when the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious are coherent. or are in alignment. So what does that mean? Well, that means at that point it transcends thought. It lives in the superconscious. Let's say it another way. It lives with God. Because now you know. You just know. God lives in here. Okay? When you know, it's a union with God like that. Okay? Because you're a co-creator like this. So now you're in alignment with the superconscious. The conscious, subconscious, and superconscious is in alignment. The belief is in the subconscious. The conscious mind thinks the thought. These are three states of awareness within. Okay? And now what? Well, now that you have the belief in the subconscious, the superconscious can make it happen. It can develop what's in the subconscious. The superconscious develops what's in the subconscious. That's one way of saying it, but that's a very religious, erroneous remark. Okay. So when your subconscious is, let's say, operating against the superconscious, let's say that you're praying for something and there's no faith about it in your subconscious. You don't believe that you're worthy. You don't believe that you can do it. You don't believe that you're whatever, worth it. What happens? You can pray all you want, but your subconscious will cancel it out. And religious people like Rivi will say, it's the devil. Don't blame the devil. It's your subconscious. It's your lack of faith. In what? In yourself. It's the lack of faith in yourself. Why? Because you have not exercised this faith. You have not exercised your knowing. You have to know like you know, like you know, like you know you can do this, or that you got this, or that you can have this, or that you can go there, or that you can love this girl, or that you can have this relationship, or you can have that job, or you can make $250,000 a year. You have to know like you know, like you know. Now that's something God can act on. Why? Because now there's substance in your subconscious. There's something to roll out. There's something to act on. There's something, that's why they say God knows your heart, right? So God will only act on what's in your heart. So now God can go, oh, okay, he knows that he can do this? Perfect. I'll open the doors and bring the right people and the right circumstances, and pretty soon he'll get there. That's a dramatization. But that's what happens. Whatever your beliefs are in your subconscious, and people go to therapy, right? And they do a lot of feel-good stuff. No, feel good, feel good, feel good. No, you have to rewire your subconscious. When you do this, neural pathways will form. New neural pathways form in the brain. The subconscious starts creating pathways. Then what? When neurons fire together, they wire together. Then what? Well, now you've rewired your brain. Now you're thinking of things in a different way. Now you're creating new patterns. Because the definition of insanity, right, is doing the same thing over and over again. Wash, rinse, repeat in the subconscious, okay? Expecting a better result. That's insanity. It's insane because it cannot happen. Because your subconscious is going, no, 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 back here. And this is what happens when you don't do maintenance, when you don't do the affirmations, when you don't do the meditation. Skip your meditation for too long, you start panicking. Yesterday I had a call from California, and one of the girls, one of these ladies that are my clients in California, she's having a terrible time. Why? Well, last week it was pretty cold in California, and she didn't really want to do the session. She wanted to sleep. I said, okay, that's fine. I said, we'll just do it next week. So we did it yesterday. And it was a lot of work yesterday. And it was a lot of work because she let it go too much. You see? In the beginning, okay, in the beginning, you don't have to do this forever, but in the beginning, you have to be consistent because of the repetition, because it needs to go in the subconscious in repetition. That's why. Okay? That's just how your subconscious works. This is not about God and devil. Okay? This is not about demons and, oh, I got to survive my demons. No. You have to create new actions and new patterns to replace the old ones or the demons, if you want to call it that. Why? Well, the demons are the ones making you angry. Your subconscious. Your subconscious makes you angry. Your subconscious makes you drink. Your subconscious enjoys the drugs. Your subconscious has learned to whatever the habits are. Whatever the bad habits are. Is it easy to form new habits? Oh, yeah, easy. Very easy. Just as easy. Okay? People make it seem like it's hard. Okay? Therapists want to work with you, so you come back every week, you pay them every week, okay? Like that. All right. So yeah, we have to mention that. Yeah, we have to mention that. So I have to go, and tomorrow at 7 o'clock again. So I hope I have opened some doors and turned on some light bulbs. If you guys want to work with me, it's here for you, lifecoaching.com, okay? But I'm not here to sell. So there's no sales pitch or whatever. But check out the website. The science is on there, okay? The science of when we use the voice to separate you from from the worry and the anxiety and all of that. I work with autistic children. I have an autistic girl that I'm working with this afternoon, and she is totally a different person, confident, totally. Um, she's really transformed. So anyway, but this works with every human being. This is solid science. It's on the website, here for you, lifecoaching.com. I'm Junior. So until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Hawaii time.